Today's topic is a conversation that will never come to an end. The least you could do to understand is put it to a context. I'm referring to dressing. Now, in today's discussion, we look at how we should dress to church. Why, you may ask? Well, let me make it easy for you. If you're watching this show with your family or friends, ask your mom or any elderly person next to you if they think we, the youth, dress appropriately to church. Well, you can go ahead. I'll wait. Wait, did he or she answer? Well, that is why we have this show, to know where we, the youth, come from in this discussion. Welcome to The Identity. Now, on the panel today, we have Moses Tumbo. Hi.
Hello.
You're good?
I'm good, man.
Welcome to the show. Next to him is Joanne Mwendi. Hi.
Hey.
You're good?
I'm good.
Next to her is Doti Tindi. I'm sure I got it right this time.
Yeah, you did.
I've been rehearsing that name. And lastly, Pastor Moses Joseph.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
It's good to know that we have two Moseses on the set.
Yeah.
I don't know who should we baptize? The other person's name. Should baptize John. Okay.
John.
Okay, fine. Now today we're going to talk about dress in church. Mm-hmm. Joanne, mm-hmm. Why is it an issue?
Why is it an issue?
Wait, is it an issue first of all?
Dress in church is an issue. That's
why?
For sure. People complain about it.
Okay.
People talk about it. Yes,
uh-huh.
Our parents say things about it. So it's basically an issue.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Moses, is it an issue?
Well, I think it is. But because we dress is, the way you dress is how we look at you. It's mm-hmm. how we perceive you. So everyone has a perception about what every other person wears. Okay. So it's an issue because we are now people together and we all have opinions about what people are wearing.
So it's not just for church. So basically dressing is just
an issue because
it's a societal issue.
Societal issue.
Okay, well, every time this discussion is brought up in a Christian gathering, in a Christian group, often than not, Doti, this discussion always leans towards the ladies. Why?
Sure.
I believe, first of all, dressing is an unspoken sermon. How you dress will tell somebody so many things. Mm-hmm. And so often than not, how we dress, if by any chance a lady is immodest, she can be a tempter. When maybe a lady dresses skimpily, mm-hmm. it's easier for her to tempt than when a gentleman probably comes here with a short sleeves sweater or something of the sort. Mm-hmm. And so for a lady, it leans more on it being on them being tempters than for the male gender. And that is why there's a whole lot of debate on it.
Are you saying men are tempters? Let me just create an example. Have you seen a guy who has gone to the gym like me, putting on a sweatshirt and coming to church? I don't know. Pastor, what do you think about it?
I really, I'll stand in my opinion mm-hmm. to say I really don't like the emphasis that has been put on ladies. Yeah. Okay. There are sometimes we even blame that it's a lady's fault mm-hmm. that a guy approaches them in a bad way, mm-hmm. in a sexual way. That it's because of the way you were dressing, you deserve that, which is very wrong. I think that dressing actually affects both genders mm-hmm. and should be talked about in unison mm-hmm. of that issue.
Joanne,
yes.
Why do you think it always leans on ladies than men? Apart from her saying that it's perceived that they could be tempters.
Mm-hmm. Studies have shown that men they're visual. Mm-hmm. But ladies, what we hear is what we take in, Mm-hmm. So basically, I think that's the reason. It's basically the reason because men are visual. Okay. And visual, how I dress, you look at it and you're like, nice.
Are you trying to suggest that we don't care how we dress, we guys? In one way or the other?
Not really.
Maybe to jump in.
Okay.
It's very hard for you, like for a man to tempt a lady. Like he has to come maybe bare-chested or something of that sort. Mm. It's very hard for a man to wear something that is revealing in church. Most of the time you guys are in suits. as it's very hard for them to come dressed like that to the point where by a lady we look and go like, whoa. Unlike for ladies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who said suits don't tempt people? Who said suits don't tempt people?
No, but I'm wondering, are we saying that that the focus is on the ladies because they're temptation? That's why the focus is on ladies because of the dressing. I mean, is dressing because you're tempting someone or not, or dressing is for another purpose? So that's why I'm caught up between, okay, I'm dressing properly because I don't want to tempt a guy, or is it that I'm dressing properly because it's the right thing? I want to glorify God, and this is why I find it. I think it's a mixed. It's a wrong thing. Let me put it that way. It's a wrong thing to put a blame that the ladies are tempting guys. So dress properly so that you don't tempt us. That is not the way it should be, but we have made it into that excuse. And that's why we kind of cover guys, and guys get a free pass. But ladies, no, you need to dress like this, it needs to reach this place and this, because you make guys fall. No.
I totally agree with Pastor. I totally agree. Because the responsibility now has shifted from the woman or the ladies or from the guys or from anyone else to the ladies. Yes. Now you are responsible for the sins that will come out of what you dressed. Really? Is that even fair?
In defense.
Yes, please.
She's defending the men. I like this.
Go ahead.
I'm not defending the men. As per your question, what is the common feel on the ground? Because I believe that we are not, right now we are not reasoning from what is now the logic thing to do. As in, what is the common belief on the ground? What are people saying when maybe ladies are dressing skimpily? What are people saying when men are doing the same? And now we are reasoning from that perspective. Of course, we will come and reason from now what is now God's will in us dressing in church.
Good.
Okay,
that was my understanding.
That is interesting. Okay, number one, skimpily is very relative. Very relative.
What do you mean it's very relative?
Because, as I said before, the whole idea of dressing is an issue because people see. People have opinions. People have formed opinions. And that is why I and Pastor are really on this, that the opinion that women dressing in a particular way, we look at them, we get tempted, is a wrong opinion. It's not an opinion based on fact, and it's not even fair. You see,
it's
because
not
dressing,
fact and it's not
fair.
Okay.
So dressing has, the issue of dressing has more, it's more about opinions of people about what they see. It's sight. You see how someone is dressed and you form an opinion on it. So these opinions are what we can battle or discuss.
Okay.
But I got Dottie's point. It's true that, unfortunately, I was already on the strong front of not agreeing with it, but that's the reality. That when, as she said, when many people go up to speak, they focus on the ladies because they feel like they're being a temptation, or they feel like ladies have so much more things to do. Like men don't have makeup, they don't have different kind of shoes. They only have black shoes for the entire seasons, or brown shoes. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're doing there.
So they find a place where they focus that no, women are too much. They're doing too much.
So, could you say that dressing also affects men?
Yes.
Joan?
Dressing does affect men.
How?
Let me hear this.
There's a way men can dress, and it can...
It can?
We're talking about dressing in church, right?
Yes.
It can do some things. Like, for example, wearing really tight shorts or trousers, really tight shirts. There's a point someone wants to prove, of course. I would take it that way.
I'm seeing your point from far, but I'm not saying it. What are you directly saying? Moses, can you do you want to jump in? Let me understand this.
You know, the reason as to why I feel it's because it is not in a position to know whether or not men are tempted. As in, the men can best tell us whether or not they are tempted by this.
No, I think it does affect men. I don't think that, sometimes we can shift the attention to temptation and just focus on the person. Sometimes a person can be dressing because of pride. I know people who call themselves men with style. And so every Saturday they have to look different, and it's an expensive taste. The watch has to be this kind of watch, shoes have to be like this, the colors have to be on point. Yes, a person can look good, but it would just still be excessive. So there is that aspect of good, and then there is the opposite side where men are dressing just like, like the streets. And they're like, the Lord will accept me the way I am. So if I can't go to church like this, I'm not going to church at all. I'm not going to wear anything formal. So it does affect men as well.
Moses, let me bring you in. You said a statement that skimpily dressed is relative.
It's actually very relative. According to me, my perception is we have pushed this conversation so far that we do not know where it started, or we really don't have a basis on it. Because today, the study I was reading, and some years back, the Olympics, there was a man who had a single job to measure how long the dress of the lady is, what's the distance between the dress, the edge of the dress, and her knees. That is, he had been given that particular job. You see, it's right now, see how people dress on Olympics, it's different. Bring it to church. It's relative. We can't put it on a basis of, these are the number of inches it's supposed to be below or above the knee. We cannot be putting, you have to wear, the same way we do to guys, if you are going to preach, make sure you have a suit.
Oh no, it's a tie actually.
Oh, a coat. I've been told this before. Make sure you have a coat and a tie. And I was like, okay, if that's the procedure that we have in church, and it's written somewhere, okay, you're following a particular rule. However, it's an opinion. It's the way we do things. It's the tradition we're used to it. So because it's like that, we have now integrated it into a particular law that is unspoken.
Moses, if you look next to you, there's somebody who's burning.
It's like holding
someone who's burning. Probably you could help us.
Okay. Dress is something very important, and God will not leave us to guess what we need to do about it. That's a fact. We have opinions.
I'm sorry, hold on. Say that again. Say that again.
Dress is something really important, and God will not have us guess things about it.
True.
That's why you sit back, take notes and listen.
Giving an example, we have the high priest. He had a specific way to dress. Trust me, he would have been told, just dress like all those other people and do what I've called you to do. But God had a specific dress for that person whom he wanted to serve his people. And I believe it's the same thing with us. Their opinions. God's children are never left to guess, how should I do this, how should I do that? We have the Bible, which is our guide. So I don't think, there are opinions, yes, but there is God's opinion.
I don't see any pastor wearing a robe. Like a robe and the glasses.
Well, if we go down that road,
No, it's true. Yeah, it's true. I agree with you to some extent. However, I am really siding with Joanne on this in the aspect that there are principles that have been set.
Thank you.
Principles that are transcending cultures.
Yes.
All right. So we cannot really call that there is literally relativity, because when you say relativity, it means that what you think is right might not be right for me. But there is a line where it has to be drawn. There are principles that are to be followed that we can actually draw from the Bible and really even question ourselves. Even myself, I know this is not right.
Thank you. I now there we agree.
It's put to perspective.
Yes.
Now I'd like to be Dottie. This issue of dressing, is it properly addressed? At the church level, is it properly addressed?
Say it.
It's a yes or a no,
Just-
according to your experience.
It depends. That's a very relative question.
It's a no.
That's a very safe
Okay, okay.
answer.
In
That's a
the
safe
sense-
answer. It's like, I don't want to get in trouble for this.
It's okay to say no.
No, in this sense, it has been addressed in the fact that we know how we're supposed to dress to church. From that angle, it has been addressed. Because, and then from the other side, how people are addressing the issue is also different. Because
Okay, let me put it to exact context,
Yeah.
okay? Now, in the cases where a guy or a lady has dressed incorrectly, so to speak, now at that moment, is that case addressed properly?
no,
No.
yeah. Let me just give an example. There's another time we went to church, and then the lady I was with had worn something that was kind of like revealing. And then there's this lady from in front who came with a lesson so quickly. Oh, you have to cover yourself. How can you come to church like this? There was that aspect. And it made that lady to feel bad because she was not even an Adventist. The reason as to why she was coming, she wanted, like you meet your friend, like, let's go to church. Like you want her to go there. But then how she was addressed because of her dress was like, I cannot come back here. They are not accepting me the way I am. So in that case, it was not rightly addressed.
Moses.
Okay. There's something that she said that's very important, but we shouldn't miss it. Let's use your example. Again, if you go to a particular place, for example, church, there is a set of norms. You see? So if you come with a different thing that does not augur well with our set of norms, of course there is that commotion, yes. But how we address it is more important because, again, it's the opinion. Because it's a fact. If she was wearing something revealing, it is revealing. You see, you can't change that. It is revealing.
Okay.
However, how do you address that particular issue?
My question then would be, is there a way to say a particular thing is bad and still not make the person feel evil? Is there a particular way?
True.
There is.
There is.
There is.
Yes.
But you have,
Let's take this for this case in example. I'm a lady, I'm this, and, you know, and my is everywhere. How do you come and tell me that, you know, how? Because most of the times, again, according to the reality on the ground is that
You run
most
with
of
a
the
lesson.
time we would do it out of good intentions, please, you know, but then often than not, I, who's being done to, will feel okay. You are attacking me. Is there a way? I leave it at that. Moses.
I actually wanted John to begin because she's a lady and
okay.
she might know what is the best way, but I want to approach it from a different perspective,
Okay.
a pastoral perspective.
There is a way. Looking at Christ's example, he corrected in love. He did. But sometimes we may not know how someone may actually react to it. Sometimes actually, when you are told you've done something wrong, you feel quite wrong about it. You're like, really? Why are you telling me that? You know. But after some time, you come and think about it. Well, yes, it was wrong, even though it was said in a nice way. Human beings have a tendency of when you're told something, you've done something wrong, you're like, well, you guy, no, you know. And that could be the immediate reaction. But after some time, sometimes you may correct someone in the right kind of way, but they still feel like you've done something wrong because they feel like you're judging them. But after some time, they'll come and think about it. Well, maybe there's something I did. There is the correcting in love.
Correcting.
And
And
the
also-
motive behind it.
Sorry.
Okay.
I just wanted to also add to what she was saying. There is correcting in love and also there's correcting in example. Like if you come to me and you're correcting me and yet your character does not really advocate for the person, like we are in church, you know, we are in the presence of God, we are supposed to act godly and all that. If by any chance I am reading things in you like are not godly, like a friend of mine, we were discussing last week with a friend of mine who was giving me a story of how he had invited a friend of his to church, and then the entire time when they were going for a field trip for church. And so the entire time as they were going, they were like having fun in the car, like worldly fun and all that. And then they reached where they were going to minister. And then when this lady came to this particular lady and told her, you know what, how you are dressed is not really appropriate for this service, go and change. And then this lady went to my friend and was like, you know, this lady who is telling me that I'm not dressed well was the same person who was doing this and this and this in the car. And so sometimes our word will bear potence if our example is showing that indeed we are living for Christ. It will change me. Because if I'm seeing Joanne is dressed nicely, and then she comes and tells me, you know what, Dottie, what you have put on is not really nice. As in it will, because I will have her as an example that I can follow. But if I cannot follow, if she's not an example to me, how then will this impact me?
Wow.
Yeah. I just wanted to add, from a pastoral perspective, is that there's a difference between someone who is coming to church and someone who's participating in church. Someone who's participating in church needs to abide by specific standard that has been given of the SDA church. But there are people who come to church, we might not know who they are. We don't know what their experience is. So I think that it's so important for you to be able to first interact with that person. You were not talking to this person before. You don't know each other. You've never greeted them happy Sabbath or anything. And then here you are. The first interaction they have with you is for you telling them that they're not dressed appropriately. Nobody's going to feel good about that. You need to first establish the friendship, understand the situation. How far are they in their spiritual walk? And be able to get all these factors that even when you suggest such a thing, it will be something that can build them. You might even find they're not even Adventist. And so you just let them learn from experience. Are the other ladies who are Adventists setting a good experience that you can speak to her? So I think there are many factors that you should consider than just going straight to a person and slapping them in their face that you're not dressing appropriately.
Okay, that's interesting. And you see, unfortunately, this discussion is, someone who's watching will pin it to, but you see how our parents dress. It's a little bit retrogressive. I don't know. In the 21st century, it's 2020. You know, there's a lot of things that are changing. Is it retrogressive?
Wow, that's hard.
Let's hold it to that. We'll be answering that and more after the break. Welcome back to the identity. Now, we left it off at the point of retrogressive. Man, it's the 21st century. I don't dress like my elder in church, man. Because, you know, Moses, are you dressed like your elder?
Well, my elders in church are 21st century, so
okay. But anyway,
I have to dress like them.
What do you think about
those guys
this?
are cool. Okay, there's something here. The retrogressive part, fashion and clothing has been moving. There was a time, it was when my father was young, my age, I think, he had those like piped
the bell-bottom
bell-bottoms,
trousers,
some really weird shoes, really good afros, you know, and seriously big coats. Yeah, that is what they wore then. Then at some point, he stopped wearing that, started wearing something different. Right now, kind of still wears something different from what he was wearing at some point. So these things change, they cycle, they move. So we can't start saying we will go back and wear skins just because skins were what people used to wear.
But you see, okay.
Wait, let me finish. And this issue has, at some point in our churches, we had such a battle with parents and their children, and more so ladies and jeans. Wearing jeans trousers to wherever, not only church, to wherever. And everyone was like, you know, ladies shouldn't wear trousers. And they quote a verse in Deuteronomy chapter 22, a man shouldn't wear
What pertains
to a woman and vice versa. Which, taking a verse into very weird context and pushing it on women and basically everyone else, do not wear trousers. Because of course right now, you don't see men wearing skirts, mostly. Apparently, doing some research on that, I came to notice when that verse was being written, when Moses was writing that verse, he was wearing a skirt, or something we could call a skirt today. You see, so it is more of, these things change, we will just wear what will be there then. Because some clothes were not there 100 years ago, they are now here.
Okay.
So it's true.
Dirty,
Our parents are wearing retrogressive clothes.
Wait. What did you just say?
Yes, they are wearing something.
He just lived something, you know, as he's
I'm
living.
Like, wait, what did you just say? Our parents are wearing
It's true, because what I wear today, the design of clothes that I'm wearing right now is not the same design my father is wearing.
No, you said our parents wear?
Retrogressive clothes. Yes, that's it's true.
Okay, fine.
We're different.
No, we're just trying to figure out what you said.
What's your take on this?
Fashion is definitely changing. That's a fact that we have to live with. But what I'm sure of is that the principles of God still remain the same.
Yes.
2,000 years ago, the principle is still the same. And when you read 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9, yeah, it talks about what basically entails. Of course, so many times when people read it, they always refer to it to women and stuff. But the principle is, it is not necessarily what you wear, but your inward man. Because if your inward man is living in accordance to God's will, then for as much as the fashion will change, you will not be swayed left, right, and center with the fashions of this world. Though you will remain, you will dress like within that context, like the 21st century. But even so, somebody will still look at you and say, there's something different about this person, but still within fashion, but not entirely lost to the will of God in this thing.
Come in. There's something that, okay, just go ahead.
All right, is it me?
Yeah, yes,
All
please
right,
go ahead.
I just wanted to add that I'm just picking up from Dottie, basically, that the Bible is very clear on the principles. When you look from the beginning, when men fell into sin and they covered themselves to cover their shame, God came and covered them. When you look further, the priests, they were covered and it was reflecting their character. When you look at the new heaven and earth, the people who will be redeemed will be wearing white linen to reflect something. So the clothes have always been functional for a specific function, and also economical. Like, I mean, it wasn't extravagant. And lastly, it was a reflection of character. These principles haven't changed throughout the ages. And we need to really focus on these principles even today. That are we wearing clothes that are functional, economical, and are reflecting the character? I mean, I was just thinking, why hasn't judges or lawyers changed their clothes, their dressing style, despite the fashion style has changed? Because the function that they do requires them to dress in a specific way. Look at the presidents. Do you ever see presidents go to events and then they wear anything they want to wear? No. They all have a specific way of dressing because of the function that they are carrying. And so even us, when we're going to church, we can't now take the church to be the place where you can just wear anything. It is a place of a function and we need to wear accordingly. Now, as to say, now what is that accordingly, is now where we can vary. Because what is formal in United States may not be formal in Tanzania, in Kenya, in our countries here. I mean, we have African prints, African clothes, which can still be respectful and formal. So that's another topic as well.
Okay. Pastor,
I have touched something.
Somewhere. Yes, no. Is it wrong to be fashionable?
Should I revert to Dottie's answer? No, it's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. it's nice to look. It's good to look good. I don't think it's bad. However, there is something wrong when you are doing it to be seen. What? You are doing it to be seen? Yes. There is something wrong that you're doing it to show off, to look that you're looking good, that I can afford the clothes that I'm wearing, that I look better than others. No, it shouldn't get to that sense, because now you are actually putting attention upon self. And the Bible is nothing to do with self.
Okay.
And yes, I would want to agree with Pastor on this. It's true. Okay, it's not wrong to be fashionable, and we shouldn't, again, standing on one foot, it's not wrong to be fashionable, but on the other, we shouldn't push our way of dressing or our clothes or our fashion or our accessories to become idols. It's very easy for our style to become an idol by itself. So we shouldn't push it that far. Dress nice, feel good about it, but don't push it to become an idol, because now you are focused, because again, idols are things that carry us away from God, or carry our focus away from God. So if your focus now becomes how I dress, you're missing something.
Well, it's easy to speak like that from a guy's perspective. If you think about it.
It's very easy. Like, I remember there are times where I dress a specific way, and when I get out, I'm like, man, I know I look good.
Yeah.
And I want to hear that compliment that, hey, Pastor, you look good today.
Yeah.
Pastor,
and you know, I know that's wrong. Because now when I don't hear it, I'm like, man, is it nobody noticing me? Or let me take a picture and post it on Instagram, maybe.
Pastor, hold it. I mean, sometimes it's hard to be balanced, because picking it from your points, I'm like, yes, this makes sense. But then to ladies, I don't know if the principle still remains. I don't know of a lady who doesn't want to be told, you look good today.
Oh, man. When you go back to the story about the garments for the priest, it's very interesting that it is in the Bible, it is recorded that it was supposed to be for holiness and for beauty. And when you talk about fashion, that's where beauty comes in. Like, you're not supposed to just dress anyhowly. You're supposed to consider how you look. Like, when I go, because like I said earlier, your dress is an unspoken sermon. And mind you, people see you before they hear you. So if you don't make the first impression, of course, it differs. It can be like you desire, like the first statement be like, I need people to see me. But it can also be the flip side. Like, you don't really, because when you are dressing, we are not supposed to attract people to ourselves, but we're supposed to attract people to Jesus.
Right.
So,
that statement, I've heard it more than once. Tell me, I wish I could stand. Am I well dressed?
yeah, you
Do
are.
you see Jesus?
Yes.
Hey, that was
Okay, that was flattery.
Ouch.
For the sake of your eternity, let me
for the
bring
sake
your
of
soul
the
I don't know. I really want to put this to context, and I want to bring you, John, even as you end up.
Yeah, as in the point is, if you are drawing people to look at you and be like, oh, that person has a great shoulder, or that person has a great figure or something. Shape, yeah. It's not Christ you are preaching. It's not Christ you are preaching. And if our whole lives has to be all centered in Christ, if you want to draw people to Christ, and then in the mix of it, you are drawing people to yourself, then I guess you are missing the goal. And so you have to be very intentional, even in how you are dressing.
Joanne, can you jump in?
God is a lover of beauty.
Yeah.
When he created things, he was like, yeah, that looks good. So I'll move to the next day.
That looks nice.
That looks nice, so I'm going to the next day. When he was making the priest's garments for glory and for beauty. And many other places, God mentions beauty countless times. If you want to do that study, and you get to realize that God is a lover of beauty. But even behind God being a lover of beauty, there is principle behind it. There is principle. As she had said, even in creating the garment, there was glory, then there was beauty. Glory for him, then there comes the beauty. The Lord is our beautifier.
Wow.
Something just clicked in my head. I just have to say, something very interesting about the priestly garment is that they never actually attracted the person to the priest. They never accentuated the priestly figure if he lifts weights. if he has the thighs, you know, the package and etc. And even when you look at the robes of those who are saved, they're plain. They're just plain because they were representing someone. And I remember one of my friends, and I was saying, why don't you wear these kind of clothes? And they told me that I don't wear those kind of clothes because I don't want the attention to be on me. I know I will look good, but the attention will be placed on me and not on the right person. Sometimes we wear clothes because we want someone to praise us because we have gone gymming. Wear clothes because we want someone to praise us that it's something new that they've never seen before, and you know it in your heart. Sometimes you wear clothes because you want someone to praise your legs, to praise your figure,
because
you to look at your chest brand, when they're talking to you. Certain brand you actually want it to be seen, or you want their eyes to accidentally look at your chest. And they're not bringing the glory back to God.
You know, I'm torn between these two perspectives, and I'm struggling so that I'm hoping somebody's struggling with me so that you can be able to understand. God loves beauty.
He's a love of beauty, yes.
You need to look nice.
Yes, look good.
But then, don't look too good that it draws attention to you.
No.
Okay,
Not too good.
Huh?
Not too good. Okay, you can, for example, if you're wearing a watch, he's wearing a good watch. Then you decide to wear a watch that now inamulika kila mtu, it's just shining everywhere. So it now attracts anyone passing to the watch because now it's not a timepiece, it's an accessory to create attention. So that line shouldn't be crossed.
It's a thin line, and
it's functional, and it looks good. It can look too good, but it shouldn't be the center of attention. Your dressing and your clothing shouldn't be the center of attention that we forget there is actually a person wearing them.
Pastor.
Just maybe John first.
Okay.
Just to add, you know it when you look good. That's a fact. You know, like today I have worn my heels and I'm looking so good. You know it when you look good. And sometimes we fail to be sincere with ourselves. You know you have worn this dress specifically for a certain brother in church. You know, a certain guy in church, you know. And we need to be true to ourselves and true to who we are. When we are true to ourselves, then we'll get to live better lives and even fulfilling lives as Christians. The psalmist says in Psalms 139, "Search my heart, and know my wicked ways, and lead me into the way which is everlasting." And this is a prayer we also need to make even when we are dressing. So, Lord, I have this dress, and I have gone to the person who sews dresses. Where am I making this dress? Why am I choosing this design? Search my heart.
Why do I want this specific measurement?
Yes, why do I want those things?
Wow.
Let the Lord search your heart. The heart is deceitful above all things. You cannot understand it. You cannot understand it. And that's why we need the one who searches the heart. The searcher of hearts, God himself.
I mean,
Yes, I got my point. I thought I had lost it. But I wanted to say that if I go to a church where people are they are well off, I'm not saying that there are churches that are not, but people are dressing well. And I also have clothes to dress well, I can blend well. I should wear that. There is no problem. I'm not putting the attention on myself. Now imagine I'm going to a village place where people, maybe the most they can afford is just a shirt and trouser. And there I am with a 3-piece suit and shoes and I don't want to step on mud because I want to keep the shine on my shoes. Then are you seeing that there's a problem there? You actually want to draw attention away. So that's why we have to really go back to the functionality. Like, am I wearing clothes that are appropriate for the occasion? Am I wearing clothes that will not draw attention to me? You could have clothes that are beautiful, very beautiful, but no attention is coming on you. It's not accentuating any of your figures to make you look better. It's not making people like, hey, this man. Have you seen it? Have you seen that? Can you take a picture with you? Or even you feel so proud that you put that picture on Instagram and you know, today I'm going to get that.
And then say happy Sabbath.
And they say happy Sabbath. Or you say God is good all the time. You know? Search and see that the Lord is good and your picture is there. We have to be careful.
Go ahead. Okay, we've talked more about the principles because they are most important. It's not about what you're actually dressing, but it's more about the principles, the thought process behind the dressing. But the issue still remains. The problem still remains. How do you dress in church? The problem still remains because it's still a problem that continues, and maybe it will continue for a time. I would propose that there is this proposal. I was in a church somewhere. Then, before that moment, the announcement time. So the elder there stood and made a prayer. It was different. Okay. Then he started saying, he read a verse, I think. Our ladies, the way you dress, we really pray that, you cannot come to church like that. The people of the world and you should be different, which I agree. And the whole time he talked for about 30-40 minutes about miniskirts and earrings and a lot of things. Well, he was right to do what he did, but it wasn't taken well by the congregation. So when the preacher came on board to the pulpit, he said one very important thing. That elder, he turned to the elder and said, "Elder, you know what? Let us work more to put Jesus in the hearts of the people, and all these things you're talking about will automatically fall away."
At that point, I have a very burning question. Let me ask it to... Oh, please, first, make your point.
Before I add that, been there, done this. When I was young, people used to come to our church and really emphasize on the issue of how a lady should dress, to dress modestly, but I really hadn't found Christ. And I was dressing, so that I can be accepted by my reformed friends or people who are around me. And it was so wrong. And it got to a point where I just got tired of it. And I was like, now I need Jesus. When it is not motivated by Christ, when it is motivated by a sermon, it will end. It will surely end. But when Christ comes in, come rain, come sunshine, whether people are dressing in whichever kind of way. Because Christ is the same, he never changes. If he's in you, he will not change, the principles will not change. And you will dress in the way that he's supposed to dress.
Indeed.
I'm done.
Your burning question?
I'm done.
The burning question is finished now.
It's been quenched. That simple. But even as we come to a close, do you have...
Yeah, I just wanted to add that there still is a standard to how some things ought to be done. Example, when a person is going at the front, we have the SDA standards, but the SDA standards do not specify length. There are people who emphasize length of how long it should be or what they should wear, because when you go to different parts, when I go to the Philippines, we were preaching with something called barong, which is not a suit. Nobody preaches with suits in the Philippines because that's the formal dressing of there. So we need to first understand the culture as well that we are at and appreciate it, but also understand that when you are to be presenting at the front, you need to be dressing in a specific way. I was not used to dressing in suit, and I'm sure people have never seen me here with suits so much. I was never used to it. But when I got home, I realized that if I don't wear a suit, people will not take me serious. They would actually feel that as though I am not keeping the formal standard. So if it's not going to harm me, why not just wear the suit? So sometimes we just have, if it's not going to harm you and it's not decreasing any value to self, you could just wear it so that you will not be a stumbling block to someone else.
So,
yes, as we come to a close.
Yes, I just want to put all that and you can cut me off.
Okay.
I was told this story, but actually think it's
you have a lot of stories.
I like stories. So, a long time ago when the Adventist Church came to Kenya, Kindube, around that area, people were not wearing English type of clothes, no trousers, they were not wearing that. But the guys who had gone to school and studied about Adventism and church came to preach and realized, okay, we are different. So in order for these people to listen to us, we have to dress a particular... Because they're the guys who have interacted with the whites and they have now suits, they have this way of dressing. So when they come to preach, like, oh, that's a learned guy, he has learned that way, so let us hear him. So at some point, every person who was preaching had to wear a suit. because then people will listen to you. I would want to have a discussion on if that is the case right now, maybe. But it had a purpose. That particular type of dressing had a purpose. If we can change it because their purpose is gone right now, we can have that discussion. But it's very important. As you say, it's very important for the person who's disseminating the information to have a dressing that resonates and functions to.
I'd come to you to give a final thoughts. Let me first go to Joanne, even as we wind up.
As you wind up, preaching or sharing a message on dress or any kind of other thing that God has called us to do without Christ in it, I would call it righteousness by faith, by works at its best.
Righteousness by works at its best.
Because I will dress so nicely when I come to church, my dress is long, everything is okay, but I don't have Christ in me. And that would be hypocrisy, you know? How about even in telling others of all this, let's put Christ in it. Let them see Christ in it, that they may have Christ in them, that even when you're done preaching, they will still be impressed, like the Holy Spirit will still impress upon them the importance of them dressing in a nice way. So that it cannot be that when I live with a reform message of dress, I live with it, you know. If Christ is in it, the Holy Spirit is in it, he will stay in the person's heart and the change will come naturally.
Amen.
Amen.
Dottie, please speak to our sister at home.
One thing that I've come to realize is that how we dress, we are either gathering for Christ or scattering from Christ. How we dress will either attract people to Christ or not from him. And it's such a sad thing when we gather to Christ on one day, church day, Sabbath day, and then for 6 days we are scattering away from Christ. And so my belief is for us to dress for church, we have to start preparing on a Sunday. And then you go through the week, you are preparing to dress for, you are dressing in a way that will draw people to God, because that is a sermon in itself. I've ever heard of a story of a man who nailed the picture of the pontiff and Christ and juxtaposed them. And the simplicity of Christ won people over. And so how we dress is a very important issue, and we have to realize that it is winning people to Christ, and it is a tool. You don't have to go and preach the gospel. You can win people by how you dress.
Amen. Moses, Tumbo, before Moses, Joseph.
Let me finish it this way. Which is my camera?
I believe this should be your camera.
Yeah. View at home. Jesus loves you. That's very important. And most of the prayers that get answered to some people, maybe they're not even having clothes. They're in their bathroom, in the toilet, or somewhere. God cares about what you dress, but you should not cross the line to care too much about what you dress. You forget about God. So just wear what you want, but let it be reasonable. Reasonable dressing is important.
You are taking us back to a discussion. Pastor, please clear that even as you guys come to a close.
I just wanted to support what Joan said. I usually have another term, beautifying coffins, expecting dead people to awaken. I think that we should not focus on beautifying the coffins outside. We should focus on arising, resurrecting the person inside by bringing Jesus to it. I think that we really, the call and the cry of all of us is that let's search our hearts. Look at yourself. You don't have to be told. Look at yourself and cry to God. Is the way I'm dressing glorifying him? Am I doing this for him or for myself? And as you will wrestle with God, God will not leave you. Amen. He will reveal to you, and he will speak to you through your friends, through your loved ones, and you will be dressing, preparing for eternity.
Amen.
Wow. There are very many points which have been shared in this panel, and if you just stumbled to this discussion, go to YouTube. You'll find it there. For me, there's a point that Joanne said, and I'd really want to echo. God will never leave his people to wander in the subject of dressing. If you really want to please God, you would search in His Word, for He has stipulated a particular way which you will dress to glorify Him and still look good.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, some years back, I don't know when was it, when Prince Harry was getting married to Meghan.
Yeah.
That was a, I don't know, should I call it the wedding of the year? Because in that wedding, even pop stars of very many genres who could probably be naked in the musical videos, in this particular day, they dressed modestly nice. Now, if you can accord an earthly prince such kind of respect to even how we dress, how much more are we expected to dress in church? Be blessed.
Inyeshe, inyeshe, imwagike, matatizo na yaje kwangu, mabaya yanifundishe, nitakuwa kiroho.
Upepo uvumapo, wala kulalamika. Mvua inaponyesha, ingawa baridi ni kali, jua litachomoza, hata litachanua. Uzuri kuonekana, na inyeshe, inyeshe, imwagike, matatizo na yaje kwangu. Baba haya yanifundishe, nitakuwa kiroho. Na inyeshe, inyeshe, imwagike, matatizo na yaje kwangu. Baba haya yanifundishe, nitakuwa kiroho. Mawingu yakusanyikapo, kimbunga kisukapo, maua hayasemi, japo yatatikiswa. Nimejifunza siri yao, nataka kufaulu, nitakapotikiswa, ndipo nitakapokuwa. Na inyeshe, inyeshe, imwagike, matatizo na yaje kwangu.
kiroho